Black has just played knight to h5 in this sharp Sicilian Dragon position. Can you find the stunning move that Bobby Fischer played to break through on the king side? Pause the video and have a go. Now, well done to those who found it. The answer is the exchange sacrifice, rook takes h5. If black recaptures, we have the move g6, and the pressure from bishop and pawn on f7 are too much to bear. If black plays e6 to block the bishop, we can capture on f7. If the king recaptures, we'll capture on g7 followed by e6, and the kingside attack is too much to defend. If black goes e5, blocking our bishop, we can instead go g takes f7 check, king f8, and now we can go queen g5. This is a cunning way to prevent pawn taking on d4 because the queen would be hanging. We'll be playing moves like bishop e3, rook g1, threatening this bishop, and ultimately delivering checkmate or promoting the pawn. Now let's see the sequence of events that led up to that crazy position. Here we have a mainline Sicilian Dragon. White's plan's quite simple. He wants to castle queenside and then advance the g and h pawns. He might put his pawn on h5, exchange on g6. He can also go bishop h6 to get rid of this dark square defender, and he'll do this as quickly as possible. Black, meanwhile, will attack on the queen side. He'll play knight c6, bishop d7, and normally rook to c8, but sometimes b8. He'll advance these a and b pawns to open up the queen side. He might even sacrifice a rook on c3, and together with this bishop on the dark square diagonal, he'll try and mate our king. So it's a race to mate on both flanks. Now if black goes knight c6, the main line, we'll go bishop c4. This is always a useful bishop as it prevents black putting his own bishop there. We'll normally spend the tempo dropping it back to b3 just to solidify our queenside. Now here, Larsen went knight takes d4. This is playable, but it's not the main line. It's probably not best because bishop takes d4, we've neutralised black's dark square bishop, and we've still got the same plan of advancing on the king side, except this knight's now pinned. Black normally goes bishop d7, we'll castle. Now, if black goes rook c8, the main line continues bishop b3, spending a tempo to get this bishop out of harm's way, knight e5, and then we always play king b1, a very useful move because the king is safer here. In the event the queen comes out to a5, queen a3 will no longer be a check after this knight's gone. So, for example, knight c4, we take rook takes, and we'll start advancing on the king side. Another way black can play is bishop d7, castles, and rook b8. Now this is called the Chinese Dragon. Black will often sacrifice a pawn with b5 to open up the queen side, bring the queen out to a5 and the rook out to c8, and then thunder down the b and c files. So for example, we might play bishop b3, knight a5, bishop h6, get rid of their dark square bishops, bishop takes, queen takes, and now b5. Now the bishop and rook work quite well together. Black will try and play b4, will play knight d5. The knight will eventually get rid of the bishop, and then the queen come to a5 and attack down the a file, and this can be quite dangerous for white. So Larsen went for a less dangerous option. He went knight takes d4, bishop takes, and now bishop e6. Now this is a very unambitious way for black to play, but the computer says it's okay. Basically, black accepts a worse pawn structure because white will often play, though Fischer played a different move, but white can play bishop takes e6, f takes, castles, and now black's plan is queen a5, b5, b4, bring the rooks to the b and c files again. Our plan is to bring our king to b1, safeguard it, and then play rook h1, f4, and e5. Black may also play e5 himself to slow our king side down and gain time on this bishop, but it does block his own bishop in. So that's just another way to play. It didn't happen. White went bishop b3 instead. Again, spending that tempo, get the bishop out of harm's way. If the bishop captures, white can even capture with the c pawn and then castle and go king b1. Now it looks paradoxical because white will be castling onto the only open file in the position. But actually, after king b1, these three pawns would be very solid and hard to break through for black. Anyway, black went queen a5, very standard. Castles, b5, and now king b1. The idea of king b1 is basically black's going to be playing knight d7. These bishops will get exchanged at some point, and black will also be playing rook c8, and he may sacrifice on c3 to double our pawns, after which black will play queen a3. Now queen a3 will come with check if we haven't played king b1. Black will also go bishop takes b3, and after c takes, he'll play b4, kick our knight away, and then the queen will be attacking a2. So the king on b1 both brings the king out of harm's way and defends the a-pawn. So it's a multi-purpose prophylactic move. Very standard, you should always play it in these Sicilian Dragon positions. So king b1, b4, and knight d5, the most active square. Now it's good to get rid of this knight because later on down the line, after we've advanced our g and h pawns, this knight will be defending h7. The knight can also interpose itself on h5, so it's good to get rid of that knight as quickly as possible. Black went bishop takes d5, the only move. If you go knight takes d5, we've got the move taking on g7. Let's say king takes, we take on d5, and black's king side is looking a bit hairy. After bishop d7, we can check and start advancing the h-pawn, for example. So black went bishop takes d5, we recapture, and now black went wrong. He played a very innocent looking move, just getting the rook out of harm's way, playing rook a c8. His ambition is to go rook c7, bring the other rook to the c file, and then attack down this file. Maybe he'll move the queen out of the way and move the a-pawn down the board too, but it's too slow. What he should have done is knight takes d5. This makes sense because, you know, white's got the bishop pair, get rid of the bishop pair. We recapture, and then queen takes d5, and queen takes b4. This is effectively a convoluted way to exchange pieces, but you can see now the queen side is a lot more open with these two files, and white's pawns haven't started going anywhere yet. So most likely course of events is something like rook fb8, queen c3, followed by exchanges on d4, and then black's got a slightly worse endgame because white's got this queenside pawn majority. Long term he can start advancing, but really it's not going to lead to sudden checkmate, and there is scope to outplay white here. So anyway, black went rook a c8, a poor move. This gave Fischer the chance to retreat back to b3, and now this bishop is solidifying this queenside. It's going to be very hard for black to break through. Even if he doubles his rooks, he's still going to need time to bring the a-pawn into the attack to drive this bishop away before he can make progress. So black went rook c7, there's no other plan really. And you can already see it's plus 1.5 here. So white went h4, start the attack. One thing black can often do in these positions is go h5 himself. Now this deters g4, but the problem here is it's too slow because g4 is a good sacrifice. If h takes g4, we go h5, and if knight takes g5, we can take on g7, knight takes, and then bring the queen to the attack with pretty much unavoidable checkmate. So black instead went for a slower move, queen b5, get it out of the way, prepare a5, a4. Now here Fischer played h5. Don't be afraid to sacrifice pawns to get this h-file open. Now rook fc8 doubling up, and we take on g6. Another possible move was h6, a more positional way. Now if the bishop goes back to f8 say, we can take on f6, pawn takes, and then this pawn will be weak. It's never going to advance to d5 because of the pressure of this bishop, and black will be facing a very difficult defence. For example, we could even play queen d3, get the queens off the board, and then after, if black tries to retreat his knight, we can just try and win with the double bishops as well. Anyway, Fischer went for the aggressive option, which I support. H takes g6, H takes g6. Now white goes g4. Well, white did go g4. He has an even better move, which actually blew my mind when I saw it. Just see if you can find it. Maybe pause the video and have a go. The move is rook h6. This sacrifices the exchange. I can see why Fischer didn't play this. If black declines the exchange with a5, then we're simply taking on g6 because this is a pin. So he has to take the sacrifice, we recapture, and then black can try and get rid of the queens with queen h5. We bring the queen back to c1, and our plan is rook h1, g4, and g5. If black takes his queen away from the king side, we'll just play rook h1 and queen h6, and it's game over. So we're effectively playing this elaborate game of cat and mouse where we're down in exchange, but black's rooks are basically useless because they're biting on granite here. This is a very ambitious and difficult way to play though, so Fischer went for the straightforward option of g4. a5, black continues with his plan, g5. Now if black retreats back to e8, we'll simply capture on g7, knight takes, and then we'll put our rook on h6, we'll bring our other rook to the h-file, potentially queen h2 as well, with an unstoppable battery down the h-file. So black is forced to block with knight h5. What he could have done after rook takes h5, which we saw earlier, is bishop takes d4. As we discussed, this leads to an equal endgame, but actually he recaptured the rook, can't blame him. g6, and now e5. Fischer actually had a quicker win here. He went e takes f7. He could have gone queen g5, because black actually can't prevent e takes f7 because this pawn's pinned. If black plays something like queen e8, we can take on f7, the rook's forced to recapture, and then the rook and queen are working together to threaten mate on this g-file, and it's unstoppable. Basically, bring the queen to the attack will never be bad. So this is what Fischer should have played. He went g takes f7. Black went king f8. He could have just tried sacrificing the exchange back with rook takes f7. We'd have the plan of bishop e3, bishop h6, bring our rook to the h-file, our queen to g5. Black will just have to batten down, bring the other rook to c7, bring the queen back to e8 and f8. And yeah, I'd be surprised if black survives here. But anyway, Larsen made it easy with king f8. We go bishop e3, black goes d5. Again, trying to do something, open up the position. White captured on d5. Black's idea is basically bishop takes d5, and then after rook takes c2, if the queen takes, this is quite poor for white, because queen e2 check will start picking up these pawns, and when white's king is open, it's harder to make progress. So Fischer didn't fall for this. He went e takes d5, black captured on f7. White used a discovery with d6, now the bishop's attacking the rook. Fischer would love to take this rook on f7, take a defender away from the king, and then we can start pushing into the attack with moves like bishop to h6, bring the queen to g5 and so on. Anyway, black went rook f6, not much to be done here. Bishop g5, attack the rook again. The rook's caught in this nasty scissors between the two bishops. Black went queen b7, just trying to delay the inevitable, maybe defend along the second rank. White went bishop takes f6, bishop takes d7, rook d8, and now queen d6. An even faster way to win with mate in 3 was actually queen h6, because after king e7 we have queen to h7, bishop c7, and checkmate. So a fantastic attacking display from Fischer. You can see how the race on the two flanks is very tight and very sharp. Often white relies on sacrifices to break through before black's attack does. If black goes for a slower, more insipid plan, as he did here, he will be quickly punished for it. Anyway, I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.